Joining me now, Representative Reid Ribble and Katrina Pierson, a Tea Party Leadership Fund spokesman. Representative Ribble, I got to tell you, when I watched this yesterday on 60 Minutes, I cringed. It's not, I don't even care if you're how do you think about the president? I don't care if you're a Democrat, progressive, right, left. When he's made these comments, I just cringed. It felt like he was so distant from everything else. The immediacy of it all, what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in the world. You know, when I hear about climate change and the race to knock 1 degree off the temperature 100 years from now, I wonder how could he be how could he be that so far off?
It's very difficult to say. I mean, it was amazing, his comments there, because he said, you know, are we going to do this with just our one ally in the Middle East? I wonder which one he's talking about. Was he talking about the Israelis, the Jordanians, the Egyptians? Who all was he talking about with just one? Was he talking about the Free Syrian Army? He just seems totally disconnected from his job right now. And let's face it, he feels climate change is a really important matter for the world to deal with. But in light of what's going on with Russia moving into Syria, I think he would be taking that a little bit more serious.
Russia moving into Syria, Iran launching missiles, Saudi Arabia trying to fend off terrorists in Yemen. It is a complete melting pot of anxiety. In fact, you could argue that the world is on fire when you consider what's happening in China as well, Katrina. And still, President Obama is saying, you know what, here's the thing. I'm going to make sure it doesn't warm up 1 degree over the next 100 years. That's what my focus is on right now.
Well, wouldn't it be yours if you were the cause of all this destruction? This is Obama's fault. He did this. He was on the wrong side of the Arab Spring. He's been propping up all the wrong people, and now things have run amok. So of course he doesn't want to talk about what's going on in the Middle East, because he'd have to answer questions like, where did the $500 million go to train efforts? Because there aren't any. So Charles, here's what we're going to do. President Obama wants to be a leader of climate change, so he's actually going to focus all of his attention on moving the positioning of the globe to the sun, and that's going to be his legacy, I presume.
Well, Representative Ribble, here's the one thing. I think we probably did get a sneak peek of this, though, because even when the president was running, he made a few trips overseas to by the way, very large and enthusiastic crowds. His first major forays into the overseas as president involved bowing and you know, and a lot of I think it was a real sycophantic approach toward foreign affairs where everyone was exceptional, not just America. So we kind of had a glimpse of this, but as we enter his last year, it's surprising to me that he's so, to your point, disconnected.
Yeah, well, you know, the interesting thing is most presidents start to travel abroad in their last year or two, and this president seems to be shying away from U.S. involvement abroad. And he seems to be lost a little bit as he deals with his foreign policy, because he struggled with foreign policy from the beginning. But no one should be surprised in what's going on right now, because a lot of this, I believe, was triggered by this horrible Iranian deal. Within weeks of that deal being inked over there, Russia moved right into Syria, is partnering with Hezbollah, and the entire Middle East is coming unglued as a result of American absence from the region. We're going to have to re-engage.
Although, Katrina, you could also argue the president giving these hard timelines when we're going to leave the Middle East. You could call it retreat. He called it exiting responsibly. The red line, or the line in the sand in Syria that he never really meant to enforce. And of course, he was taking, he was pushed. Russia taking Crimea. There's so many different areas we could probably try to pinpoint where this started. But the president now, as a lame duck, how dangerous does that make our country?
Well, it's extremely dangerous, considering, I mean, you were right. Obama's plan of war is to give your enemy your plan. And it's just not working. And I don't think the president is disconnected at all. Like I said, this is all happening because of his choices of the past. And he's not talking about them, because if he were serious about doing something about it, he would be addressing it to the people of the world. Instead, Russia is over there taking charge, stopping the insurgents on Syria. What's going to happen next, we'll have to see, because Obama wants to focus on climate change and might I add, bringing in hundreds of thousands of Muslim refugees that are young men that are said to be 25% ISIS.
I tell you, it's really scary. But let's face it, too, guys. The leaderlessness or the rudderlessness, if you will, in Washington, D.C., not just the Democrats, right? We've got this GOP infighting right now, and it shows that Republicans aren't in much better shape. So here's the big question on the GOP side. Who can unite the party? Who will the next speaker be? Congressman Ribble, you were once a member of the Freedom Caucus, but recently you left in part because of all the infighting. Tell us more about your decision as a founding member of the Freedom Caucus to walk away from it. What's the message there?
Well, basically, when the Freedom Caucus was started, the whole idea there was to drive policy to a more conservative bent, and also to help change the process whereby we govern ourselves in the House of Representatives. Let's face it, Republicans feel betrayed by their government, and they feel betrayed by Republicans in the House. And a big part of that is because the process whereby we set up our rules and how we move bills to the floor and how we advance the policy reforms we want are not applied fairly to every single member. And so you can't always bring those policy issues forward. When Speaker Boehner decided to retire and walk away from it, I felt that I needed to be an independent voice for the citizens of Northeast Wisconsin. The Freedom Caucus wanted to vote en bloc for somebody, but I didn't know exactly who they were going to choose at the time, and I wanted to be independent because I've got very strong feelings about leadership, having run my own company for 35 years, and I was going to be strict in responding to the citizens in Northeast Wisconsin.